Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Yeah, hello guys, we are from Group 8 and our member is me, Ajeng Kartini, and Lucky Gintari, and then Raihany Azzahrah. We want to presentation about structure and written expression, Unit 3 to 4. Unit 3 is about tenses and aspect, and Unit 4 is about passive voice, tenses and aspect. Tense really means reference to the time at which events take place or at which processes or states hold. English, for example, clearly distinguish between past and non-past tense. The next subject will be presented by Lucky Gintari.
Okay, thank you. Simple present tense is a verb tense with two main uses. We use the simple present tense when an action is happening right now or when it happened regularly or increasingly. Depending on the person, the simple present tense is formed by using the root form of by adding s or es to the end. The form of simple present is subject plus verb 1 or s or es plus object. If the subject is I, you, we, they, the positive sentence verb is not followed by the suffix s or es. If the subject is he, she, it, the verb sentence is positive followed by the suffix s or es. When you use a verb to tell about things that happen continually in the present, like every day, every week, or every month, we use the simple present tense for anything that happen often or is factual. For example, I got to school every day. In the sentence, go is in the simple present tense. They tell about things that happen repeatedly in the present. The simple present tense is also used with the passive fact and with feeling. For example, the sky is blue. It is the simple present tense since it's used to tell a fact about something. And however, you change the simple present verb when the subject describes he, she, or it to this by adding an s. Look at the example. He plays with his sister on Friday mornings. Plays or simple present verb, they need an s. Exception to this rule are when a verb ends in s, x, sh, or ch. In these cases, we need to add es, just like sentences. Karina faxed the information whenever they need it. Okay, present progressive or continuous tense. Define present progressive. In grammar, the definition of present progressive tense is a verb form used to express ongoing activities happening now or in the near future. To sum up, the present progressive, also called the present continuous, is formed by adding a present to be, verb and participle after the subject. Expresses action happening now. Expresses action that will occur soon. And then expresses action in the progress. The form of simple present is subject plus am is are plus present participle and ing to the end of the verb. For example, I am swimming is happening now. I'm reading an excellent book in progress. I'm going to the park on Saturday is near future. Next, the simple past tense is used for a complete action that happened at one specific time in the past. Regular verb is a bare infinitive verb-based form which is usually added with the and ed. Example, live to live and play to played. Irregular verb are verb that change form. For example, go becomes went and give becomes gave. Note, the word ago is usable way of expression the distance into the past. It is placed after the period of time. A week ago, 3 years ago, a minute ago. The form of simple past tense is subject plus verb to plus object. For example, I went to the cinema last night. People lived in the cave a long time ago. She played the piano when she was a child. Next, past progressive continuous tense. The past continuous tense, also known as the past progressive tense, refers to a continuing action or state that was happening at some point in the past. The past continuous tense is formed by combining the past tense of to be, he, was, or were with the verb present participle in word. For singular noun like I, he, she, it, or people name equals was. If pronouns like you, we, they, books, cars equals were. The form of past progressive is subject plus be or was or were plus verb ing plus complement. There are many situations in which this verb tense might be used in a sentence. For example, is often used to describe conditions that existed in the past. For the example, the sun was shining every day that summer. And then it can also be used to describe something that was happening continuously in the past when another action interrupted it. For the example, I was making dinner when she arrived. The audience was applauding until the fill of the stage. We were making a soup in the kitchen. One final question: if the irregularities are few, not every verb is switched to describing a continuous action. Certain verbs cannot be used in the past continuous tense. One common example is the verb to arrive. At noon he was arriving is incorrect. At noon he arrived is correct. For the next material will be explained by Raihany.
Okay, thank you, Lucky. The next one is present perfect. Present perfect is a combination of past and present. It is used for actions in the past that have something connection with the present. The form of present perfect is have or has plus past participle. The signal word in present perfect are just, yet, never, already, ever, so far, up to now, recently, since, and for. And the focus on present perfect is on the result. Next, the present perfect is used to indicate two actions. First, an action that happens at an indefinite time in the past. For examples, have have you passed your driving test? In this sentence, there are no time reference. And two, I have just eaten. George has seen this movie 3 times. The word 3 times is for habitual action or repeated. And the second action is an action that began in the past and still occurring in the present. For example, I have received 20 cards so far. He has never tasted papaya before. John has lived in the same house for 20 years, or John has lived in the same house since 1990. Next. There are not for present perfect. First, the adverb yet is for using negative and interrogative sentences, and already is for affirmative sentence. They are used to indicate that something has happened or hasn't happened. For example, we have not written our reports yet. We have already written our reports. Another option with the use of yet is sometimes possible. In the case, the verb is positive and the adverb yet does not appear at the end of sentence. For example, John has yet to learn the material. We have yet to decide what to do with money is equal. We have not decided what to do with the money yet. Next. And another tenses is present perfect progressive. Present perfect progressive is used to express an activity or event which has occurred and still in progress. The form of present perfect progressive is have or has plus been infinitive plus ing. The signal word in present perfect progressive are all day, the whole day, since, and for. The focus of present perfect progressive is on the action. Next. The present perfect progressive is used to indicate first an action that recently completed. But in present perfect progressive is focused on the action. So the example are she has been watching too many videos. Bob and Bill have been fighting. Janet is hot and tired. She has been playing tennis. And the second one, an action that began in the past and still occurring in the present. For example, I have been waiting for you since 5 o'clock. I have been living here since last March. He has been talking on the phone for over half an hour. Next. And the next is past perfect. Past perfect express an activity or event that was completed before another activity or time in the past. The form of past perfect is had plus past participle. The signal word in past perfect already, after, before, for, just, never, not yet, and until the day, on, and when. The past perfect is used to indicate an action that happened before another action in the past. There, there usually are two actions in the sentence. Look at the example. John had gone to the store before he went home. In this sentence, the first activity or the first action is John had gone to the store. And the second action is he went home. And next example, Jack told us yesterday that he had visited England in 1970. The past perfect is also used to indicate a state which continued for a time in the past but stopped before now. Note that there are is connection with the present. For example, Michael had lived in New York for 10 years before he moved to California. And next, a state which continued for a time in the past.
Okay.
And the last tenses is past perfect progressive. The last tenses is past perfect progressive. The form of past perfect progressive had plus been plus infinitive plus ing. The past perfect progressive is used to describe how long something had been happening before something else happened. It emphasized the duration of an activity that was in progress, another activity or time in the past, and less something which had happened and was still in progress in the past. For examples, you had been fishing all day yesterday. We had been playing chess when Nelson rang the bell. It had not been snowing for several hours when we awoke. How long had you been waiting this morning? Okay, the next material will be explained by Ajeng Kartini.
Okay, thank you. I will explain about passive voice. Passive voice. A sentence can be either in the active or passive voice. In an active sentence, subject perform the action. In a passive sentence, the subject receive the action. To make an active sentence into passive. The passive voice is used when we want to emphasize the action, the verb, and the object of a sentence rather than the subject. This means that the subject is either less important than the action itself, or that we don't know who or what the subject is. To make an active sentence into passive, follow these steps. First, place the complement of the active sentence at the beginning of the passive sentence. Second is, if there are any auxiliaries in the active sentence, place them immediately after the new subject, agreeing in a number with the subject. The third is, insert the verb be after the auxiliary or auxiliary in the same form as the main verb in the active sentence. The fourth is, place the main verb from the active sentence after the auxiliaries and be in the past participle. And the fifth is, place the subject of the active sentence after the verb in the passive sentence, preceded by the preposition by. 6. Remember that in a passive sentence, sometimes the actor is unknown or unimportant. As a result, by can be eliminated completely. For example, all of us are known that when we want to change from active voice to passive voice, we add by. So for the simple sentence, for example, hurricanes destroy a great deal of property each year, and we want to change to passive voice, we move the subject first. For example, the passive voice, a great deal of property is destroyed by hurricane each year. And how the past sentence of active voice, and we want to change it to passive voice. So, yeah, here's the example. In the active sentence, the tornado destroyed 30 houses. And we change to passive voice, 30 houses were destroyed by the tornado. And the next example is in the active sentence, the company had ordered some new equipment before the strike began. And in the passive sentence, some new equipment had been ordered by the company before. And the next example is when we use modal and verb. The manager will sign this contract tomorrow morning. In the passive sentence, this contract will be signed by the manager tomorrow morning. Note the passive sentence without by. My wedding ring is made of yellow and white gold. It is the ring, not the person who made the ring. That is important. Laura was born in Surabaya. It is Laura, not her mother, who bore her. That is important. Okay, that's all the presentation from Group 8. Thank you. Have a great day.
Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.